Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Stable School Podcast, live here from Cannes. I'm your host, Raza, Head of Growth at Scroll, and I'm with Yann from Mt Pelerin. You can pronounce it.
Correct.
Yeah, please take it away.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. So my name is Yann. I'm the marketing manager for Mt Pelerin. So it's a Swiss company doing on and off ramp services. So we basically allow retail users, business users, all types of clients buy crypto, Bitcoin, Ether, stablecoins directly to their self-custodial wallets. We help them make swaps, bridge, cross-chain, and also cash out back to their bank accounts from their self-custodial wallets. So the company was created in 2018 because we were active in the crypto space already, and we were all like self-custody maxis in the company. And back then, the only way to on off-ramp was through centralized trading platforms like Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, etc. And being self-custody maxis, we didn't like that very much, and we thought, we must have something better to get in and out of the crypto space for people who want to use it. So that's why we started this company to make it easier, basically to offer a service that is simpler, more elegant, more efficient, to go straight to self-custody and back, to help people really get into the crypto space as easily as possible with as least problems as possible from their bank accounts. And that's it. So really that's the mission of the company, to make it, to make living in self-custody as easy as possible. So we started like this, and then we developed our product, as explained, on and off ramp services, and then we added more and more things. For example, today you can pay your bills using crypto through our services. Like you can pay your rent, you can pay your employees from the company, etc. And we keep adding stuff like some things we will discuss later.
Yeah, amazing. And we'll definitely get into it. You already answered the question, like, what's the mission? But I can sense at the heart of your mission is making sure not your keys, not your coins.
Exactly.
And that's driven by
100%. I really, I don't need to explain you why. I mean, like the whole history of the crypto space has been marked by reasons to be in self-custody and learn to do it the proper way and secure your setup and state like this. So we want to offer services for people to help them do that, make them understand it's not a problem. You can skip centralized platforms, and you can really live in self-custody without issues.
And so maybe like a question, right? Because on the trend I see is that people are accepting, you have my keys, but I trust you and access my coins. And you see that actually, with social login and hot wallet on the spot creation, which is really a centralized version, where people, if you log in with an email address, like, where the private keys are living, how do you view that trend? And are you actually seeing growth, or are you losing people towards that end of the...
No, that's actually not necessarily a bad thing, in the sense that it helps newcomers get into the space and try easily, like you said, like one-click login, email address, social login, whatever. And then they get started, they try products, they try DeFi apps, etc. And then the more they get into it, the more they learn, the more they will encounter other people who will start explaining them about self-custody and why it matters, and how you should do it the right way. And many people actually do. They make the effort to get interested in self-custody and learn why it should be like this. And then they start using services like ours. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a good thing to attract people, new people, beginners, to make them try new things, and slowly drive them to the right setup afterwards.
Yeah, out of curiosity, do you see user experience improvements over the past few years? Because even if you have self-custodial wallet, I mean, that's quite a responsibility, right? Essentially, you're saying here is the freedom, because not your keys, not your coins, but at the same time, it's a responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how has education but more importantly, user experience? Have you guys been able to improve the user experience?
Obviously, I mean, as I said, we started in 2018. So from then we improved a lot. We it's a continuous process, right? We build things, we launch them, we get customer feedback, we see how our users.
But is there like a specific feature you could double click on, being like, we implemented this, it was easy to onboard folks?
Well, from quite early, we started developing a self-custodial mobile wallet for newcomers who didn't have a wallet to begin with. So you don't have to use it to use our service, but that's something we do for beginners. So that's always been like the main tool, the main place where we see the frictions and the places that needs to be improved, and that's really the heart of the UX. How people use a wallet and what do they do with them. So we've been learning continuously since those years, running that wallet and improving it, and also that's been giving us the direction to develop new services. But you mentioned education. So before UX, I think education is even more important and should come first. And we try to provide educational content as much as we can via our blog, but also via our customer service. When people contact us, we try to explain them things about what they're doing, trying to educate them via their interaction they're having with our service. And that's how they understand self-custody. That's how they start to like it. They understand the value, and they start to make the effort to make a cleaner setup. They start learning about multi-sigs, etc. So
yeah, definitely education, very, very important. I am noticing, I've been trying to get my family onboarded onto crypto for the longest time the right way. I will be very honest, it still feels like a huge challenge, especially where all of the things they feel like they need to manage is very overwhelming. And I think having services like the ones that you guys provide is important. But I'm really curious. I think a mobile version is already amazing. If you have a mobile app, something like that, I think that because people want to do it on their phone.
Yeah, definitely.
And but at the same time, and maybe one of my friends said, there's just a pain of learning this that everyone needs to go through.
I think it's very linked to culture, because we are Swiss. We study in Switzerland, and in Switzerland, cash is a big thing still today. There is a strong culture about not mistrust, but people like to manage their own thing. They like to have control. Since the 2008 financial crisis, it certainly didn't help. So a lot of people lost a lot of trust in the banking system. And not only in Switzerland, in France, definitely there's a lot of mistrust in the financial system, in the banking system. In Germany somehow as well. In most of Europe, it's the case. From what we see, and people have that prerequisite in their mindset about, maybe you should pay attention to how your money is managed. Who has control over it? Who has access? What can happen to it? What are the worst case scenario that can happen to your money? And people are sensitive to those questions, and as a result, learning self-custody and making the small effort to learn it and do it the right way, because it's not that complicated when you start to use it. They do it quite easily. Like they are predisposed, from what we see, at least from our users, to get into it.
And do you see self-custodial being a big role in the future, or do you think that eventually people will just be like sort of converging the traditional way of doing things again?
But as I said, we are self-custody maxi, so for us, definitely it's a big thing, and it will keep being a big thing. And when you see the state of the world, the signals are not very good for the long run on how things are getting in terms of surveillance, in terms of privacy of people, etc. So I think it will have a bigger and bigger space in the discussions, in politics, etc.
Double clicking on where you guys have, let's say, been expanding. One of those things is IBAN. So you guys provide IBAN bank accounts or IBAN numbers as a service.
Yes,
how does that work?
Not bank accounts, again, because we don't do custody. We never want to do custody. We always work with customers' funds in self-custody. So that's something we will launch very soon. So now it's still in early access for a restricted group of users, but we will launch it after ETHCC, actually. So yeah, it's it's personal IBAN, so users will be able to get an IBAN and attach it to the self-custodial wallets and crypto and blockchain of their choice. So basically, you will get an IBAN in your name, like first name, last name, it's yours, and you can link it to EuroC on a base, for example, anything, one of the things we support. So when people will send bank transfers to the IBAN, like your employer, I don't know, tax refunds or whatever, like people will send euro to that IBAN, so just like any regular bank account, but you will receive crypto in your wallet. So the sender doesn't know you use crypto, nobody else does, only you. You receive funds directly in self-custody. And when you want to make a bank transfer, it's the same, you use crypto from your self-custodial wallet. Again, it can be anything, can be a ledger, can be a safe multi-sig, can be anything. You fund your bank transfer with your crypto from your wallet. We send the fiat transfer to the beneficiary. So again, you can pay your rent, you can send money to your friends and family, etc. So it works just like a bank account, except it's not a bank account, it's funds in self-custody in your own wallet.
And so often with these value propositions, what you find is that there are a lot of hidden fees. And you know, one of the things in crypto, everything's all, you know, above the table. How does that work for you guys? Like, how is the model structured?
So it's a good question, and that's something we always emphasize from the beginning, is that we always wanted to be super transparent on the fees. So we have an exchange fee. We have a structure that is fully transparent. That's the only fee we charge. We charge it on the market rate, so we don't have bad exchange rate. We don't take spread, stuff like that. That's it. So we have a small exchange fee. It's decreasing with volume. We have the first 500 euro per user, which is totally free. So, you know, just to give an incentive to people to try to see, like, they can make small transfers and see without any fees. And we also have like a program for people who own our token, which is a share of a company. They get more free volume, and they can have a free volume up to 50,000.
I like how you said that. It's a share of the company.
Yeah, it's an actual share. It's a tokenized share, and it's a real one. So if you have a token, you're an actual shareholder. You get to vote during shareholders meetings, etc. So you really own a piece of the company with the share, and you also get free volume.
Amazing. So actually, I have two questions. But let me first start with, there are a certain non-USD backed stablecoins that you guys support or have launched, or is it that
we don't launch? I mean, we don't run any token except our tokenized share, but that's not a business thing. It's just our share. So we support the main stablecoins on the market. So obviously USDT, USDC. We have supported the main Euro stablecoins on the market since their beginning. So it's been years we support EuroC, tokens like that. And we are based in Switzerland, so of course we have to have a Swiss franc stablecoin. There used to be a gap where they didn't have any on the market for a bit, but now we're gonna support a new one again very soon. So yeah, the main stablecoins are USD, Euro, and Swiss franc.
So are you seeing demand for non-USD based stablecoins?
The vast majority of our users are from Europe, so obviously there is demand for Euro stablecoins because people want to on-ramp, you know, from Euro and stay in Euro. They want to make a bank transfer of 1,000 euro and receive 1,000 EuroC. You know, that makes sense in our entire structure of on and off ramp and getting in and out of crypto in your native currency. So same for Swiss franc. There is demand.
So it's very practical focus. So these are not folks that, you know, let's say on-ramp in a Euro stablecoin and then want to utilize that Euro stablecoin for like yield purposes.
Not necessarily. Like most of our users are on off-ramp to invest in other things later, in Bitcoin, in Ether, you know, the main things. And then of course some of them just go to DeFi and other apps, and then they swap to, you know, anything else and more exotic stuff. We don't track that, obviously. That's not our role. So we don't. I mean, we know we have a lot of DeFi users in our customers, but we don't check what they're doing on chain. But definitely, there's a lot of people interested in yields on chain. A lot of our customers are realty customers. I don't know if you know, like tokenized real estate in the US.
Oh wow!
So people on ramp to buy tokens of real estate in the US, and they get yields paid to their wallets each week.
I mean, and so how do that was the another question I wanted to ask is how do these partnerships work? So or integrations rather. So you guys provide self-custodial wallets, on-ramp off-ramp service. So soon, an IBAN number, not the bank account, but like a virtual bank account sort of like attached to it.
It's not a virtual one. It's an actual IBAN in your name that you own. It's just that it's not attached to a bank account. It's attached to a wallet. So it's more like a currency exchange IBAN actually.
Yeah, gotcha.
Technically, we call it a proxy, but
yeah, it is. I was gonna say actually a proxy. To me, it just feels like a proxy.
It's a proxy.
What if are your services for any network, any stablecoin, or does it require you guys to have an integration with that network or stablecoin?
We just need to support the network. I mean, we support 14 chains today, so the vast majority of the ecosystem. And again, on most chains, we support the main stablecoins. For us to support something, it has to have a big enough liquidity on chain for our service to work, simply.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the only requirement for us to support stablecoin.
And so,
we are like direct partners with Circle, Tether, and we can mint and redeem directly with them. So usually when we support something that is centralized for stablecoins, we can mint and redeem directly at the source.
Oh wow!
So that's why we can have a low fees, efficient service, and that's because we also do a lot of OTC transaction, like big cash in, big cash outs, and so for those types of transaction, we need to have access to the source liquidity.
That makes a ton of sense. You already mentioned it a little bit. One of the questions I want to ask is, okay, this year, next year, crypto is moving faster than ever. Especially with in the US, a new administration, it seems like everyone is loosening up. It's just like a wave of fresh regulation, fresh breathing space. What are the trends that you're seeing? And I just want to drop a buzzword in there because you already mentioned is like real world assets. You mentioned like realty, but what are the trends that you're seeing? And I understand you're not tracking your customers, but like in your customer base, is there something particular that you're seeing?
There's really two things, like people who are really interested about living in self-custody and having all the convenience to run their daily life with their funds in self-custody. So people use us, for that. And of course, you have a lot of people who come to the crypto space in general because they're interested for investing, to find investment opportunities, to get yield, etc. So that's the main people we have today. But I mean, so of course, yields opportunities will always be big because that's what people want. They want to have, better yields than what they can get in TradFi in self-custody. So like that's double benefits of the thing. But we also think that the biggest use case for the future is payments, using stablecoins for payment, for, again, being able to pay for things in your daily life without having to go through the TradFi routes. The other day I was talking, I forgot which big company was talking about, using stablecoins to skip Visa and MasterCard altogether, to try to install this as a new payment route, simply because it's cheaper and more efficient, and it's cross-border and it's almost instant. So it has a lot of benefits for daily payments. Yeah.
And so you already spoke about it a little bit, but maybe a bit of a loaded question, and maybe it's also slightly different for you guys because you're based in Europe, in Switzerland. But generally speaking, if you look at the market cap of stablecoins, you see a heavy reliance and shift towards USD-based stablecoins. You already asked my question where you say like, oh no, you have a user base, but don't you think that it is shifting towards that end, like on a global level, and then is that a problem?
I don't think so. I mean, for yield and DeFi apps and farming and etc. I mean, I think USD stablecoins will always have a dominance because they have such a advance in terms of liquidity. But for payments, Euro stablecoins and Swiss franc. Switzerland is a very small market, but it's still relevant for us. But for the payment use case, because again, people want to on and off ramp and use DeFi in their home currency.
Yeah.
So I think they will grow. So certainly slower than USD stablecoins because there are not so much yield opportunities on euro and other currency stablecoins. There are some, but not as much obviously as USD stablecoin. But I don't see that as a problem necessarily.
So you guys are in the self-custodial space. That's actually refreshing to hear, because any solution that I'm seeing, that they're actually saying, well, I don't want to say compromise principle, that doesn't sound right. I don't feel like that's the case, but they are moving fast in one direction, just giving more options and just seeing adoption in a specific corner. When it comes to the growth that you guys have seen, what has been the biggest catalyst? And also, at the same time, what do you guys see as the biggest bottleneck for, like, another buzzword, mass adoption?
It's always been the general macro trends, I would say, that have been driving people until now. Of course, we see waves, like you have peaks and like calmer periods. It's very impacted by news. For example, when there was the FTX crash, we saw a huge wave of users coming use our service because like they finally made a step to create their self-custodial setup and start using non-custodial on and off ramps. But for the future, what was the second part of your question again?
Yeah, so I guess like the catalyst of growth, but also the bottleneck. So
right. So the bottleneck, I think it's the interest and the convenience on end user apps. So it's really the retail point. Make apps that are super easy to use, that are clear, that have good value proposition, that have benefits, like small goodies, small thing, like you can win small thing, you have small advantage, make small discounts, like that's what drives really people, and that's what drive referrals, people talking about it, ear to mouth. And that's what's really driving adoption at the end of the day, is people liking an app, tell their friends about it, push them to try it. And that's how new people come in. So the bottleneck is really to make like very good end user apps, gateways obviously on and off ramps for them. Also DeFi apps, because we are probably all DeFi users in this room, but not all of them are necessarily super clear or super easy to use. So like maybe more apps that make an interface that simplify using them, pushing them back to the role of backend financial services with like more user friendly interfaces, like easy things, more fun to use basically.
And so in your area of expertise, specifically, I would say like so on the on-ramp, off-ramp, and the wallet side, and that's actually expanding. What gap is there? Like, I can imagine you mentioned, like, if you believe that payments is the biggest use case, of course, having an IBAN proxy, that they facilitates it to the real world, that's obviously huge. I know other service providers have, Monerium and other stuff are also doing this is great. What other things can you do? Because I agree on the app side, on the retail, like on the application layer, that's where, driving enough value, it will drive adoption and net new users. What's next for you guys, where you're like, okay, this is what we're going to do, we can facilitate that?
So the next thing, as I said, are personal IBANs, but like this is ready, so this is going to be launched in the coming weeks. But that's going to be a big thing to facilitate using our service for existing users and to drive new users. After that, we will add a card on top of it. So you not only you will be able to make bank transfer, but you will also be able to use crypto in your self-custodial wallets to pay through a card, in the gas stations, in restaurants, etc., for your daily payments. So that's really usually what people want, the last bit really to complete the whole experience of living in self-custody. After that, we will also launch, not technically launch, but a yield product. Basically, we've been using our own corporate treasury in DeFi for years to get yield. To leverage it, obviously, and we've been working for a while now to create a solution where people can basically invest into the same strategy that we use for ourselves and get a yield with one-click experience, something very nice. Fully self-custodial, fully DeFi, and with pretty decent yield. So that's something that's going to be also hopefully very nice to drive people, because we're in Switzerland, and in Switzerland people don't have a lot of access to big yields. There's non-existent interest rates on deposits, very low investment products in general. So like being able to offer something double digits to people in our region, it's going to be hopefully very, very interesting and make a lot of noise.
I can see that excites you. Are you very regional focused? Is it really like Europe focused? So I mean, yeah. And I just want to say I'm from Europe, so I hate it when people say treat Europe like a country. So I know there are like a lot of nuances when it comes to the countries, but are you like very Swiss focused or?
Well, in our business, it's about which payment rails do you have. So we have payment rails in Swiss franc and euro. So Europe is treated as a country because it's the same payment zone, same currency. So that's our main region. I mean, I'd say 85% of our users come from Switzerland and Europe. The rest are mainly like users making larger transactions, like OTC deals, coming from Asia, a bit of South America, a bit of South Africa. Exactly.
So what are the main user? Maybe I've already asked this question, but that's interesting. I didn't actually realize. So 85% of your user base is actually like Europe based.
Yes.
And have you seen that user base grow?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have growth every year. Last year we had a plus 40% growth of our user base.
So could you share like roughly how many users you have right now?
Oh, we're still a comparatively small company. We have about 100K plus users.
I still think that's pretty amazing. But so, yeah, and how do you? Sorry. What are the main user pattern behaviors that you see there? Is it just like you already mentioned, like people want exposure towards Bitcoin and Ether, they want to buy that, they're using it for baseline payments, they're learning about self-custodial, and then how important that is, and they want to like have that. Are you seeing something else in that region where you?
We really have like three types of clients. Like number one is people who just want to DCA into Bitcoin or Ether, the main assets, and invest and forget about it. That's their savings plan for the long term, for their family, for their kids, etc. We have a lot of DeFi users, so like that's including all kinds of people like farmers, traders, you name it. And then the last big type of client that we have are companies. We serve companies as well, so a lot of crypto companies who use our service just to be unbanked, pretty much. Probably it's very hard for a crypto company to get bank accounts to operate. So with us, they can just skip that part, live with their treasury on chain, DAOs, you name it, and use our service when they need to make payment in fiat or receive payment in fiat. They go through us, and then they don't have to bother having a bank account, arguing all the time with their banker who's calling them because they receive 100K from another company, etc.
So, wrapping up, Yann, like if you look at, you already mentioned the the IBAN proxy. You mentioned the credit card or a card attached to, the wallet. Where do you see you guys going for the next 5 years, and also what excites you the most if you like look at the industry, all things stablecoins, but just like adoption?
It's really about people using what we're building to live in self-custody. So again, once we will have launched publicly the IBANs, it's really going to be how fast people are creating them, using them, what kind of volume they are passing every day through those IBANs, if it's really matching the regular life of a regular person, paying their bills, receiving their salary. If they're using for that, we're going to be super happy. And personally, what's something that's interesting me a lot is also educating shops, commerce, businesses, retail businesses to accept stablecoins as a payment way, because most of them have absolutely no idea what it is, how it works, and why is it interesting. But once you're telling them, it's a tool that can allow you to accept payments from people instantly. You receive the funds instantly in your custody, not like if you accept cards payment, usually you have to wait 2 weeks as a business to receive the actual cash on your bank account. For commerce, you can receive them instantly, and you don't have the fees of Visa, MasterCard, of the payments processor who's offering the solution to accept payments. You can skip easily 2-3% of fees. So when you talk to real shop owners and explain to them, they're like, "Wow, that's awesome! I want that. Like, they can save fees, right? They can save money." But that requires a lot of education, just evangelization to tell them about how it works and how they can set it up and put it in their shop.
Yeah, I definitely think that another thing that actually personally excites me is that I mentioned this yesterday on stage as well, is banking the unbanked. I think that right now, and it's actually not banking, right? Because they're still not banked, but they have access to the financial rails and access. So it means insurance. It means like doing payments, and it's funny. You will go to rural areas like where my parents are from, like there won't be clean water, but there will be someone like with an iPhone, not iPhone, but an Android phone, which is very interesting because it means that they could have access to this today. And so that is something that personally very very much excites me. But yeah, Yann, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I definitely think that we need more of this. I definitely learned. I didn't know, like, even from being from Europe, I just thought that crypto sort of died, like not entirely died, but like stalemate. But it seems like, you guys are experiencing like a
definitely not dead.
Yeah, definitely not dead, but like it felt stalemate. But impressive. Thanks so much.
Thank you.